Welcome back to Retro Rewind. We're continuing our journey through Nintendo Power Magazine, page by page.
Last time we covered the very first issue, July 88. Super Mario 2, Zelda, Double Dragon. It really set the stage.
It absolutely did. Showed us the format, the vibe they were going for,
Right.
and they didn't waste any time getting the next one out.
Nope, just 2 months later. Today we're looking at issue number 002, covering September and October of 1988.
It's kind of cool to see how fast they evolved, even between the first and second issues.
Yeah, a 2-month turnaround feels quick now, but back then that was pretty standard for magazines, still keeping that quality up. Impressive.
Okay, so let's crack open issue 002, First Impressions. That cover.
Well, issue 1 had that sort of claymation Mario, right? This one feels different. It's got Castlevania II and Bionic Commando front and center.
Definitely. And that call-out for Castlevania II, 14 pages of gory details? They weren't messing around.
Gory details.
Like,
Pixelated gore, maybe? And Bionic Commando promises a monster review plus fold-out poster. So right away, it signals more in-depth focus on specific big games.
a fold-out poster. That takes me back. Okay, so you flip past the cover,
Yeah.
and one of the first things inside is a calendar. An insider's calendar.
A physical calendar. I mean, that's so perfectly late 80s, isn't it? Something you'd actually, tear out and stick on your wall.
Totally. And there's this little note with it addressed, Dear Nintendo Power Player.
Oh, yeah. What's it say?
It says, here's your insider's calendar. Thanks for being one of the first to subscribe to our new magazine. Hope you enjoy it. Keep your scores high and your dates straight. Sincerely, your friends at Nintendo.
Your friends at Nintendo. See, that's that tone they established right away. Very personal, trying to build that connection.
Yeah, and they jump right into patting themselves on the back, basically. Thanks to your support, Nintendo Power Magazine is a huge success.
Already, after just 1 issue out.
Apparently, they talk about how more and more video players like you are tuning in to the NES. It's all about building this idea that you're part of something big.
Right, reinforcing that NES phenomenon. It makes you feel included.
And they mention the big games featured right there in the letter. Castlevania 2, Bionic Commando, RC Pro-Am.
RC Pro-Am, right? Not BC Pro-Am. Common mix-up.
Ah, right, RC Pro-Am. And of course, Super Mario 2 gets a shout-out. Plug into Continuing Mario Madness right here.
Can't forget Mario. He was still the main event for so many players.
Looking closer at that calendar they mention, it highlights some interesting dates. Howard's birthday, Super Mario's birthday, and new release dates with our best shot at accuracy.
Howard Phillips' birthday. Wow. They really tried to make him the face of Nintendo, didn't they? And I love the honesty about release dates, best shot at accuracy. Things were definitely looser back then.
No kidding. They also tease a news section called Pack Watch. Says it has all the latest on games on the horizon.
Ooh, Pack Watch. That became a huge deal. The glimpse into the future.
And they drop a big hint right away. The latest on Link is coming soon, promising more adventure and interactive role-playing challenge.
Zelda to it?
Yeah?
That's the teaser right there. For anyone who loved the first game, just knowing something was coming for Link, that was huge anticipation fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. They also point to the NES Achievers section for high scores.
Bragging rights central.
And just generally promise super tips, tricks, and features. You know, the core stuff. And there's a plug to get your friends to subscribe on page 106.
Of course there is. Gotta grow the readership.
And it ends with that tagline. Nintendo Power, it's all the power you need.
Such a great tagline. Really captured what the magazine felt like it offered. Control, knowledge, power.
Okay, let's move on to the table of contents. This lays out the whole issue for you.
Right, the roadmap. What are the big features listed?
Okay, so first up, page 6, Bionic Commando. Shatter the evil scientist's ambitions.
Then page 18, Life Force. Yick Viper takes off again, which for us in the U.S. was the sequel to Gradius, basically.
Right. Page 24, Castlevania II, Simon's Quest. Get in on all the gory details. There's that hook again.
Consistent. Then Mario 2 is still getting major space on page 41. Travel on in Mario's big dream adventure.
Still riding high. Page 68 is Golgo 13. The fate of the worlds is in your hands. That feels a bit different, maybe a bit more mature.
Yeah, definitely a departure from Mario. And finally, page 74, Blaster Master. Can you save the world from evil mutants? Another classic in the making.
So looking at those main features, it's a mix, isn't it? You've got the absolute monster hits like Mario and Castlevania 2.
But also games like Bionic Commando, Golgo 13, Blaster Master. Maybe not quite as huge at the time, but really interesting, unique games. It shows they weren't just chasing the biggest sellers.
Good point. They wanted to show the breadth of what the NES could do. And the contents list a bunch of other games, too, getting smaller coverage.
Hmm.
Xenophobe, Seacross, Superman.
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf.
From 1943, Jackal, Hudson's Adventure Island, Mag Max. Wow.
Yeah, see, they were trying to cover a lot of ground. If you owned an NES, chances are something in here was relevant to you.
And the regular sections are establishing themselves. Pack Watch, NES Journal, Mailbox.
Mailbox was always great. NES Achievers, Video Spotlight, doing player profiles.
Take a look at these Power Player profiles, and of course the top 30 chart.
Mm-hmm.
Always got to see where the games rank.
Those sections really built the magazine's identity beyond just game guides. It created a whole Nintendo universe to engage with.
Okay, let's dive into some of those guides. Castlevania 2, the gory details. What do the snippets show us?
Well, you see map sections, right? Like enemy base 1 outside, neutral area, and specific locations marked, like Algebra Woods, Camilla Cemetery, Berkeley Mansion.
Dennis, Dead River, Brahms Mansion, Belasco Marsh. All the key spots.
Exactly. And the text gives you direct hints, like the powerful Reaper approaches near Dead River. That's a heads up.
Or get items and messages in the neutral areas telling you what to do there. And there's one by Camilla Cemetery. Conjure up magic.
Ah, yeah. That's almost certainly hinting at using the laurel you collect to pass through poison marshes, right? Because the clues in Castlevania 2 itself were, let's just say, notoriously unhelpful sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Famously cryptic or even misleading. This magazine wasn't just a bonus. For a game like Simon's Quest, it felt almost necessary if you didn't want to wander aimlessly for weeks.
Totally. No game FAQs back then. This was your lifeline.
There's
What
none.
about Bionic Commando? It got a big spread, too.
Similar stuff. Map sections like any base 1 outside, that neutral areas graphic pops up again.
Yeah.
And they have these secret hinty things.
Trademarked hints. Love it. What kind of secrets are we talking?
One says, if you destroy this block, you'll have the sighting opportunity to go. So, pointing out a breakable wall for a secret path.
Classic stuff. What else?
Another one start off right by grabbing the Moo. It's cut off, but probably telling you to get a specific weapon or power-up right at the beginning of an area.
Makes sense. Early advantage.
And this one's interesting. Room 3, 1 to 3. Think back.
Think back. Huh. That sounds less like a direct do this and more like a nudge. Like, remember something from an earlier part of the stage or Area 1? Maybe a pattern or a trick you learned?
Yeah, it doesn't just give you the answer. It guides your thinking. Still makes you feel like you figured it out, sort of.
Exactly. Keep the player engaged. Now, you mentioned the Super Mario Bros. 2 section had something surprising.
Yeah, it seems to be part of a Q&A section called Array Seek Back. And one of the questions listed is, where are the warp zones in Super Mario Bros. And how do I get to them?
Wait, Super Mario Bros. 1?
Yeah.
Original.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
In the issue covering Mario 2, Castlevania 2, Bionic Commando, they're answering questions about the first Mario.
That's actually really telling. And wasn't there another odd question?
Yeah, right below it. How do I defeat the mini-bosses, Ridley and Kraid in Metroid?
Metroid. So Mario 1 and Metroid questions in late 1988.
It seems so. What does that tell you?
It tells me that people weren't just buying the absolute newest games and forgetting the old ones. The NES library had staying power. People were still playing, and crucially, still getting stuck in these slightly older, huge hits.
So Nintendo Power wasn't just about pushing the new stuff.
Exactly. It was positioning itself as the ultimate resource for any popular NES game you might own. If you were stuck in Metroid a year after it came out, Nintendo Power was still the place to go. That's incredibly smart for building loyalty. It makes the magazine valuable long-term, not just for the month it releases.
That makes a lot of sense. It broadens the appeal massively. And there is a question related to a current game, too. Where will the mission lead? With what are coming underneath, clearly about Bionic Commando.
So RIC Back was like the community help forum, but printed, answering questions on anything NES related. Genius.
Okay, so from helping with old games to hyping new ones. Let's talk Packwatch again. The description is pretty straightforward. Keep your eye on Packwatch. We'll give you a glimpse into the future.
The crystal ball of Nintendo. Before Twitter, before E3 live streams, this was it. A fuzzy screenshot and a paragraph of text could fuel playground hype for months.
And like we said, that first big tease was for Zelda 2, though. The latest on Link, coming soon.
Yeah, just that phrase, the latest on Link, was electric. You knew another adventure was coming. That's all you needed to get excited.
It wasn't just about the games, though. They also pushed the hardware, right? The accessories.
Oh, yeah. The Nintendo Power Tools, as they called them in the snippet. Specifically, the NES Max Controller and the NES Advantage joystick.
And the marketing copy is, wow, Listen to this. More power over power. More power to control your speed. More power to control your timing. More power to control every move.
Every trick, every maneuver, it's the power you need to take to total control. With the Nintendo accessories, the only thing out of control will be your scores.
Pure 80s gold. It really sells that dream, doesn't it? That this piece of plastic will magically make you better at the game.
It totally does. It taps into that desire to master the games. Did the turbo buttons really help that much? Maybe sometimes. But it felt like you had more power. It was aspirational.
There really was. Okay, so Pack Watch looks forward to games.
Right.
What about the next issue of Nintendo Power? There's a preview for December 88.
Let's see. Whoa, the text under the preview image in this scan is, really messed up.
Yeah, it's like, word a lot, flawed PC, old RNVC for Gareth Year Day Chei, once a year is at your hell.
Right.
What even is that?
I have no idea. It's completely garbled. Maybe something about learning a lot. Or an old arrival.
But
Who knows?
It's impossible to tell what they were trying to tease, but it does end clearly. See you in November.
Well, that's one way to build suspense, I guess. Even if it's just because the scan is corrupted, you definitely have to buy the next issue to find out what they meant.
Leaves you hanging for sure. Now, one last important thing included in the source material we have is that preservation message from Retro AI at RetroMags.
Right, and this is super important. Their goal, they say, is to try and preserve classic video game magazines from years gone by before they are lost forever.
And it's such a vital effort. These magazines aren't just old ads and tips, they're like time capsules. They show you the games, sure, but also the culture, the advertising, the way companies talk to players. It's history.
Absolutely. Without projects like RetroMags digitizing them, this stuff would literally crumble away. They thank everyone involved, from original creators to the scanners and editors today.
And they ask for help donating magazines, scanning, editing, distributing, and point people to retromags.com.
They also specify they're only interested in preserving magazines that are at least 5 years out of print, which sadly includes all of Nintendo Power now.
Yeah. And they stress they're nonprofit. We have no desire or intention to profit from these in any way. Don't support people trying to sell these releases.
That's crucial. It's about access and preservation, not profit. We owe them a lot for making this kind of look back even possible.
We really do. So, stepping back and looking at issue #002 as a whole, how does it stack up against the debut?
It feels solidified. Like, they took the template from issue 1 and immediately started refining it, making the guides deeper, establishing those regular columns like Pack Watch and RASIC Back. It feels more confident, maybe.
I think so, too. And it really hammers home how central these magazines were. Forget searching online. This was the source for everything. Maps, cheats, news. You waited by the mailbox for it.
It absolutely shaped how you experienced the games and the whole NES scene, discussing the latest issue with friends, poring over the maps together.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. Think about that waiting period, getting the magazine maybe weeks after a game came out, having that physical thing to pore over, the anticipation building between issues. How does that whole experience, the delayed gratification, the tactile nature, the shared discovery through print, compare to today's world of instant online guides, wikis, and video walkthroughs available on day one?
Yeah. What did that older way of interacting with game information give us, culturally or personally, that maybe we've lost a bit with the sheer speed and volume of information today? What was gained and what was traded away?
Something to think about. That slower pace definitely built a different kind of community and anticipation, didn't it?
It really did. A different era entirely.
Well, that wraps up our look at Nintendo Power issue, #002, from the fall of 1988. Thanks for taking the trip back with us.
We'll see you next time on Retro Rewind as we continue flipping through the history of Nintendo Power.